420 in the Senate, 388 in the House. Some of the high-profile bills have already been mentioned. The HGR one, the tax caps, I did vote for it reluctantly. I don't like putting numbers in the Constitution. We don't know whether the 1, 2, 3 is correct numbers or not. However, our Constitution right now says it's all got to be taxed equally, and our law does not do that. And so soon as either the chamber or apartment owners or somebody, as farmers that feel that they are being slighted, as soon as they file suit, they're going to win. They absolutely will win. There's no question about it. So this, in my mind, it needs to go into the Constitution. If it doesn't, we'll be right back where we were 5 or 6 years ago, starting from scratch, and not many of us want to do that. Second high-profile bill is the ethics reform bill. They assigned it House Bill 1001, which is the first one, which gives it credibility and everything. This is one of those bills that you absolutely don't dare vote against. You just don't do it, because the newspapers, 26 newspapers went together and started publishing everything about all the gifts, everything that's done to us. They literally came down and says, you absolutely cannot do it. And I was going to vote for it. I was one of the poster child. I play golf with anybody and everybody. I have no problem with that, as long as it is reported. I feel the only ethics reform that needs to be done is transparency. You need to know who's taking us to dinner and so forth. And this bill does not do that. Lowering the threshold from $100 down to $50 is not going to change one thing. Requiring certain legislators this cooling off period. We have 2 legislators that were lobbyists before they came into the General Assembly. This means they cannot go back to their job when they leave. That's not right. You have a right to know what we're doing, who we work for, and all of that. Transparency should be the primary reform that we had. This bill, when it came down on the House floor, there were 29 amendments, 29 suggestions as to how to change it. Some of them, and basically, we chickened out. They decided, both sides got together and says, hey, because some of them were political. I mean, they're not going to let the ISTA make contributions. We weren't going to let the unions make contributions, all these different things. And finally, they just said, hey, no amendments at all, and it passed. There were some things that, if you're going to talk about ethics reform, if this really is about ethics, you need to talk about some of the things that were in those. Should the colleges and universities be treated the same as a lobbyist? They hand out money. They take people on trips. They take people to ball games. That should have been discussed. There were about 7 or 8 amendments in there. Ivy Tech, you know, if you're a legislator not on the Ivy Tech payroll, something's wrong with you. I mean, you have no skills, and that needs to be discussed. There needs to be some limits put on that. You know, Speaker Bauer is and I'll have to say there are several of them that actually do work for Ivy Tech, and I don't have a problem. There are others that are consultants, which I don't think they have an office. I don't think they have any responsibilities, and that should have been discussed. Like I said, I was going to vote yes on the thing and just sit down in my seat, but I couldn't do it. 11 o'clock I decided, and so I got up and spoke against it. It passed 97-2. The other guy voted against it only because he said he didn't want me to be the only wingnut out there hanging. And as usual, I got a lot of bad press about it. Like I said, I have no problem. You people need to know what we're doing and so forth. But the things that were in that bill, absolutely, it isn't going to change a thing, and in my mind, there are a couple of provisions I absolutely do not agree with at all. Anybody that has a state contract of $100,000 more absolutely can make no political contributions at all. I mean, you take the Fenton Brown, the asphalt contractors, if they win a contract fair and square by bidding, why do we want to deprive them the ability that everybody else has to make these contributions? It makes no sense. And we have thousands of contractors. Basically, we're saying they can't enter into the political process, and I don't think that's a good thing. So anyway, if you want to talk to me specifically about that, because like I said, I was a poster boy. The Star and these 26 newspapers, for weeks they ran, and I'm still on their website. Got my picture, got my bounty. I got a phone call from Indianapolis and said, Wolkins, we understand you're the 3rd most gifted legislator in the General Assembly. And I thought that was pretty good, because to me, gifted means talented, right? Well, wrong. They listed Pacer tickets, which I didn't use. I got $800 worth of Pacer tickets that I gave to staff. I went to the Ryder Cup, and then I did. I'm guilty. Like I said, I've never been bashful about playing golf, going to golf. Duke Energy was a sponsor of the Ryder Cup this year. They had hundreds of tickets, and they asked me if I wanted to go, and I said yes, so I went. So anyway, you have a right to decide whether or not you want to keep me in, knowing that I accept that. but I don't think anybody ought to tell me that I can or cannot do it. So, House Bill 1004, interesting concept. It was kind of interesting. One of the Democrats decided, all us Republicans, we're all for property tax cuts and all this thing, and he basically threw one back at us, says put up or shut up. And what it does, if your tax bill goes up more than the CPI, your tax bill can only go up the amount of I believe it's the CPI, 2, 3, 4% a year, which is going to have a tremendous effect on cities and towns and everything, because this is going to cut an awful lot of money going to your local governments. It passed. I don't remember what it was, but it did pass. It also changed the way farmland is assessed. They kind of went to an Olympic style. You throw out right now, I think they take 6 years of production. It's not assessed on market value at all. It's based on the production and what you get off of it. They take the value that you've received in 6 years, and when I say the Olympic, they throw out the highest, throw out the lowest, and that's what the average is. It's going to amount to quite a bit of savings for farmland in the way it's assessed. And anyway, that did pass the House. Townships referendum was mentioned as part of the government reform. Voted for it. I don't like the fact that they're going to have each township by township vote on it. Every voter in the state of Indiana is a member of county government, they're part of the county and they're part of the township. When I decide whether I want to do it with my township trustee and the whole thing, I'm going to be voting from the perspective of, do I want my county to accept all of this? If two or three of the townships vote not to keep their boards, and the county has to take over it, there's no efficiency there. The county needs to take it all or not take any of it. So the referendum, in my opinion, should have been a county-wide referendum, not a township-by-township referendum. It's one of those things that's very difficult. One size doesn't fit all. We have some townships that are doing an absolute fantastic job, and we got some others that are absolute clunkers. How do you get to the clunkers without messing up the good ones? And we don't have that balance yet. A couple firearms bill that are out there. One of them has to do with Indianapolis Star started publishing the list of everybody that had a concealed gun permit last October or November, and apparently there's some folks that thought that wasn't a good idea, and so basically they're going to ban that part of it. Guns and locked cars. This is one that got mixed feelings on. I'm a gun person. I think I got a right to hold my gun and everything, but if I'm a business, do I have the right to say I don't want you to have a gun locked in your car? And so it's a pretty good. It's between the gun rights people and the businesses, Chamber of Commerce, manufacturers, and so forth. Public access. It always amazed me, all the newspapers really blast all these lobbyists and everything, and yet they have a lobbyist. And he comes in and they have a bill on public access, and apparently I got a little dinged in the Elkhart Truth. I was in the committee, I listened to it. Everybody's for public access. We want you to have the right to know what's going on. However, there are people that are using this system for the wrong reasons. On the other hand, there are public officials that are not putting the information out like they should. Now, how do you hit a happy balance? We had some testimony from I think it was the attorney from Carmel, that it's costing them tens of thousands of dollars a year to decide because they have people that are making requests for 500. They're on fishing expeditions. They're requesting things for things that really they have no business. Their motives are not good, and it's costing thousands of dollars for cities and towns to decide who does and who doesn't. The law also has some conflicts in it, and I may have it backwards. Either sewer records are public record and water usage are not, or it's vice versa. But a lot of cities and towns, it's all the same. They do both of them. It's all on one card. So somebody makes a request. Do you give them the information? One of them is not public record. One of them is. And we need to have public record. We need to have the public have access to these records, but we somehow need to keep out those people that are using it for the wrong reasons. Confined feeding, we have that's back. It's been in there every year. Setbacks, so many miles from this, that, and the other. Not sure what will happen on that. One that's coming up this week is going to be quite controversial. Is the Representative Vanessa Summers, who wants to license child care ministries. And this always gets into a church-state separation. It'll be very, very controversial. They are having a hearing on it this week as to whether or not those have to be licensed. Currently, child care ministries in churches, they have to meet all the health and safety standards and so forth, but they don't have to be licensed by the state of Indiana. And that will be a very controversial one.